Are we live? Are we good? Oh, we are. Okay. How's it going, guys? It is Wednesday. I'm up 4:59 today. Pretty solid day. You know what I'm just thinking? Is that better? I have the AC on. It's deathly hot in Boston this week, so I've been having my AC on, but I think maybe that might have been interfering with the audio a little bit. Anyway, yeah, up 4:59 today. Just overall, a little bit of a more tame day in the market today than yesterday or the day before that or the day before that. It's been, usually we've seen some better action, in the days prior to today, but today was a little bit of a lull in the market. But of course, the meme stocks, AMC, BlackBerry, I talk about these relentlessly. It's kind of like all I talk about because these are the ones that are moving, and we're seeing, continuing to be some very tradable action in those stocks. And then I was looking at kind of those stocks that had good days yesterday in the small cap world. Clover, was it Clover? Yeah, Clover. Oops, I just literally typed Clover. The ticker is CLOV. This one was gapping up again this morning and even higher now than it hit the high yesterday of 25. And then this morning, it was actually gapping up, and you can see that here on the daily chart and how big of a gap that was. And I was watching this one off the open, just, mostly for fun, because it is so extended to the upside that I was definitely not going to be buying this, although there was definitely some tradable action in here. Buying dips on this could have been good. We talked about buying dips yesterday. Today is going to be more, I try to kind of incorporate lessons into these recaps. I try to incorporate lessons in the recaps as they kind of relate to how my trading was on a particular day. It's not like every day there's some brand new lesson that I have to offer, but yesterday I just noticed that all my trades were, buying dips. So I thought, oh, well, let's talk about buying dips. And then today I kind of noticed that, well, there was this kind of interesting phenomenon, and this is something that I was very able to notice just because I've been trading these stocks so much. But in the meme stock sector, because it really is its own sector at this point, with AMC, BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, even stocks like MVIS, or meme stocks, Reddit stocks, Wendy's, I don't know, stuff like that. They kind of tend to move a little bit with each other. So in days past, and yesterday, the day before that, what I've noticed is you can kind of reliably trade them together. If AMC is screaming higher, you can kind of flip over to BlackBerry and see kind of a similar thing taking place. These stocks kind of move up and down together. Of course, minute by minute, they vary. They're different beasts. They're different personalities. I talk about how each stock is kind of its own little character, and you kind of have to figure out how to interact with it, aka trade it. But besides that, when you are looking at kind of this sector-wide movement, even minute by minute, you can notice, oh, AMC is going up, and I'm going to buy, BlackBerry in sympathy, and it hasn't quite broken out yet, so I'm going to try to get out in front because I can see AMC is strong. So anyway, I talk a lot about if you're in Neo or Palantir and you're trying to go long or whatever, right? Having one eye on the NASDAQ, seeing what the NASDAQ's doing, seeing what the rest of kind of the sector, the market is doing, can give you a kind of crystal ball. It's like, keeping tabs on that relativity can be really important, and that's something that I've done with AMC and BlackBerry. So I'm going to go through the trades here. My first trade I'm going to get out of the way. This was my red trade on the day, which was on Wish. This was kind of one of those small caps where I was hoping for some continuation on it today. I ended up giving all my profit back on it that I made on it yesterday. I made about 170 on it. Today I gave all of that back. Right here I kind of bought here at 1441. I thought I was buying kind of a dip on it, and I thought it needed a second kind of attempt at VWAP, and maybe it would have kind of this run. But of course, this is a stock that was extremely extended, and I was ready to cut this position quite quickly. It dropped very, very quickly though, and I kind of wanted to wait for the pop back up, but I noticed that this is one that it has a lot of room to drop, so I did unfortunately realized that I just need to take the loss on this one, which is what I ended up doing, and it dropped much further than my exit, another 80 cents right there, and then down to 12.50. So I had a lot more money to lose on this if I held this position. So I'm glad that I got out. So it was like I tried it long quickly, and it didn't work out, and I got out. Okay, so that was that was that. But of course, if you bought a dip on it, this was going to be a tricky one to buy dips on, but this dip right here gives you 12.50 to 13.35. This dip right here gives you 10.77 to 12.50. So there's definitely opportunities on it. It had a nice kind of squeeze action there. But anyway, today the focus of this video is really not going to be on this stock. But anyway, after that I had a trade on AMC, which, let's see if this will pop up. Here we go. So I had this trade on AMC. My entry here is what I most dislike about this trade, although thankfully my kind of long-term bias on it. I got in thinking, I don't know if it's going to happen this minute. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know when exactly it's going to happen, but I'm buying this pullback because I think that we're going to have a move above VWAP. And let me get this out. I like to draw as of recently over this stuff. But again, when you talk about trends, when stocks trend lower, they make lower lows and lower highs, and when they trend higher, they make higher highs and higher lows. So this is another setup that I trade very often, where it's clear we have a downtrend, it's moving down. Here's the kind of pullback to the upside, and then here we move down, but we don't really make a solid lower low here. This is kind of more like a double bottom. So when we pop back up here, I tried to buy into this pullback because I thought actually this would turn into the first leg higher in the higher high, and a higher high being made. That now we've got what is starting to be an uptrend, right? So that's how you look for down, trending lower, turning into trending higher. Of course, that actually did end up happening. We got exactly what I was looking for. Here was the first sign. This is kind of that double bottom. That's a sign of strength. And then it just took a little bit more of a pullback and brought us down here before we got that next leg higher. So exactly what I was looking for did come out, and it did happen. And then we did get kind of a couple new legs to the upside. I don't know why I'm having such trouble speaking today, by the way. I don't know what's going on there. But the point is, here's the first higher low. And then we did start to trend to the upside, although that did not last very long. I got most of my profit out here. Unfortunately, on these last 50 shares, I got out at 50, 56, like down here. I was certain it was going to break VWAP and come back down. I thought AMC was likely to have a red day today. I was just trying to get that morning push. Even if you are just going long for a trade that's going to last 20, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. You can have those trades, and then your longer term bias on it throughout the rest of the day can still be, there's plenty of possibility here that the stock is going to finish red on the day, which it did. So anyway, you can have different biases for different time frames. Then here I had a trade on it. This was just a big mistake. I gave back a bunch of my profit on it. This one was like a $450 trade. And then here I gave back almost half of that. I added 200 shares right here as I thought it was coming up. This next candle slams right back down. I should have just cut the position. I should have just been like, oh, it didn't work. It didn't continue higher. The volume on it is really low in here, you can see, but I thought with this volume coming in here in this candle, and this candle starting to squeeze up, volume starting to come in, I did take a gamble on it, but it did not work out. And as it came back down here and made a new low, I added into this support right here. I thought this might be a good spot to add. Maybe buyers will see value there. It did pop up, and man, it just came right in and touched my break even. Actually, it didn't touch my break even. My break even was, I'm pretty sure my break even was 49.47 when I added these 200 shares. And I'm holding 400 shares, which is a pretty big position in AMC for me at least, just given its range and how much it moves. 400 shares is not a position that I wanted to stick around in. This ad was I did this intentionally to buy in front of this support, try to get that move up so that I could get to break even and get out of the trade. And unfortunately, I had my order to get out at break even, but right here, this wick barely missed me. It did not come up just far enough. It didn't. And then it reversed very quickly. And here I thought, well, It's coming back down. There is this support here, but if it breaks this support, I'm gonna have to get out, and that's what happened. So when it broke here and $49, I got out, and that's just you got to do what you got to do. It just is such a shame because right here I almost got away unscathed, and then you can see in the end it came down. It did come down lower, but then it popped right back up, came over my break even, right back down, and then this big run back up to $52. Whatever. These things are sometimes unpredictable, but then, coming right back down in after hours. So anyway, I want to talk about relativity. I want to talk about kind of the lesson, and that comes with BB. I had a quick trade on this in the morning where I bought a dip on this in the morning. Or I thought I was buying a dip on this first red candle. I bought this dip. But then this came down against me. I had to get out a break even on this candle, although I missed a lot more on it. It came back up to 15, back up to 15.20. So, whatever. But I got out at 14.64, and then, this was, it is what it is. Here I got in a pretty early at 14.90. What you're probably not seeing here is the ad, 500 shares, 14.31. So this lowered my cost basis to 64. Roughly 64. I think I was actually like 61, so I got like $30 of profit on this trade. Whatever. So that was early in the morning. But again, I'm trying to get to this the point here. So here I made a couple mistakes. What I noticed was, okay, this is kind of what I'm talking about with the relativity. In the days prior to this, I've watched BlackBerry and AMC extremely closely. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, you know what I mean. I've watched these stocks every single day, and what I've noticed is that not unlike back in January and February, when GameStop went up, the other meme stocks followed. And now we're in an environment where when AMC goes up, the other meme stocks follow. GameStop is now a follower, or really a relative lagger, or it has been, to AMC. And BB has been very strong and has been more kind of moving in tandem with AMC. That's what I've noticed. But what I noticed here in midday was, as I came back in the afternoon to look and consider trading again, kind of after that morning period, I was up about 300 on the day. Then I came back in the afternoon, and I had that trade on AMC, that afternoon trade where I gave back like half my profit, and then I was only up like maybe 150 or something like that. Anyway, so here I came back and I was looking at BlackBerry, and I thought, this is interesting. This is something that I haven't really seen as in, I always thought, well, it's like what I just explained. When AMC goes up, kind of BlackBerry goes up. And again, they don't move exactly. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying generally when you see a big green candle on AMC, we've seen a big green candle on BlackBerry. But what I noticed here, look at this big move from hitting VWAP here at kind of 15 to having this big surge up to 1620, backing off, but then kind of stabilizing here. And in this area, I thought, this is kind of weird. Let's take a look. And AMC, sure enough, is actually under VWAP and kind of looking weak and kind of moving down throughout the day. And so in this same time period where AMC is kind of struggling, in fact, BlackBerry is actually kind of surging. And I thought, this is weird and peculiar. We haven't seen that in days past. It's been very much more AMC and BlackBerry kind of tied to each other. So I thought, that's weird that BB is kind of now all of a sudden like leading AMC, when AMC really is kind of where all the volume and all the interest has been in kind of the meme stocks in this whole space. So my instinct was, this is an imbalance, and it's not like yesterday I talked about imbalances and buying dips and buying those imbalances. And what I meant then was those quick fluctuations, quick imbalances that are actual imbalances where there's too many sellers, panic sell, and then all the buying comes back, and it's a push and pull and kind of those minute to minute fluctuations. Here I meant this is more of a detachment of a larger scale, and there's a more consistent buying in BlackBerry as it makes this run higher. And this is a pretty significant move from $15 to $16, while AMC is actually moving down. So anyway, that's what I noticed, and my instinct there was, well, okay, I'm going to short BlackBerry because I imagine that it's going to come back into the fold. This seems like a larger scale imbalance, and scale isn't the best word. I just mean the time frame is different here. But while BB has this kind of move up, AMC's kind of still coming down, and I was like wondering what's going on. So anyway, what I ended up doing was taking this short. I shorted 500 here, and then I actually added 500 here. These entries were not great, and I should have recognized that this is consolidation, this is sideways consolidation, and it did come up against me. And at this point here, I was down pretty substantially on the trade. You can see I'm short 1,000 shares with an average of roughly 74. So from 74 coming up to 1616, I'm down like $400 on this trade or so, or something like that. So I was red on the day at this point by $250, $300 maybe, but of course it reversed very quickly, and I was patient on it. I was looking for this double top to come into effect because again, AMC is weak. It's not seeing this this run. And at this point in time, BB does look like it's setting up nicely for kind of an afternoon run. The problem is it's a little bit beholden to the action of AMC, and if AMC continues to be weak and isn't moving like this, at some point you can think of it like two ends of a rubber band. Like the rubber band is like coming apart like this. AMC's on one end kind of weak and BB's on the other kind of strong, but again, they're tied to the same catalyst. They're both seeing the same reality of the last like 2 weeks, right? So eventually it's gonna snap back in. So that's what I was looking for, and that's what we got. So double top comes in here again. My entries were not great, but eventually we come lower, and yeah, it comes back down and in. And all of a sudden, it was really, really interesting what happened. Again, up to this point, BB is strong compared to AMC is weak. Then, look at what happens here in the afternoon. Look what happens here at roughly 3 o'clock, 3:30. What happens? Now what does it look like? Like, look at this, guys. AMC is strong. It surges to $52. But what does BB do? It falls down, and I'm taking profits all along the way, and there's nothing here that signifies strength. This is a pure and simple sell-off. There's no silver lining for it. So this was, to me, really interesting action and so different than what we've seen in the past. But all of a sudden, this relative strength we see in BlackBerry totally falls apart and becomes relative weakness. So again, the rubber band stretching apart, BlackBerry super relatively strong, AMC super relatively weak, and then wham, and as they slam back together and the rubber band, the tension gives, and these two ends come back toward each other, they actually kind of switch places a little bit. And it's super interesting to see. And I don't feel like I'm making this up, It's tempting to say like, this analogy, it doesn't even make sense, but it kind of does, right? You've got BB on one end, super relatively strong, AMC relatively weak on the other. The rubber band is stretching apart, and then as they snap back together, they actually switch places a little bit. And all of a sudden, BB is super relatively weak. All of these bulls and all these Reddit traders got trapped, like, oh, BB's making that next run to $17. But they all got trapped, and then they're bag holders on the way down. And they flip over to AMC and see that AMC was actually the better long trade. With this surge to $52, of course, AMC did kind of in that last half hour, it did actually give up and start coming down, and I'm sure that played a part here with BlackBerry coming down. And I did ultimately have 1,000 shares short here, but at this early stage, I took 300 shares off, and then another 200 here. So I was out half of my position very early. Why? Well, hindsight 2020. I didn't know it was going to come down this much. I mean, I did think VWAP's kind of the target, and as I was looking at it, I thought, well, here's kind of the beginning of the surge up. Then we kind of have this consolidation, and then here's the double top that comes in, and then the target, for the sake of a clean kind of retracement, 100% retracement would be like right around here, but stocks often make 80% retracements or something like that. So this whole area in here was kind of my target, but it did come down a little bit more, and now you can see in after hours it's really plummeted. even lower down to 1450. And so of course I should have, I mean, it's easy to say, I should have held my entire 1,000 shares short from 1572. I'd be up over $1,000 on that now if I were still holding the entire position. But of course, hindsight is 2020, and I didn't realize it was going to come down quite that much. But this is a trade for me that really came back, you know, because I was biting the dust on this thing as it came up to 16. But again, I had that thinking in mind of like, BB is so, it's showing this facade of strength right now that doesn't make sense to me given what other stocks in the space are doing. I don't know where this strength is coming from. There's no news on this or anything. I was confused. So that's yeah, that was this trade, and it was, I think it was really interesting. So hopefully you guys can take something away from that, and hope, you know, you may have noticed this as well, this weird kind of in and out of strength and weakness between AMC and BlackBerry. And you know, there are other stocks in the space you can look at too, like Bed Bath & Beyond. But of course, if you look too far beyond AMC and BlackBerry, you'll notice that the volume is just not really comparable. And for that reason, you know, there just aren't as many traders interested in it. And so you can't as clearly notice these things. But, you know, another thing I'll point out too is look at the volume on the day. BB is not far behind AMC on total volume, 150 million versus 100 million shares traded. So, you know, the difference there is not as much as in days prior. So maybe that is also something, a reason for that weird relationship between BB and AMC today. And we are getting some pretty high volume here in after hours. This is high volume after hours trading in AMC, and you know, BB as well. But GameStop announced that they, you know, they had their earnings and they have a new CEO and they have a new CFO, and yeah, it's interesting to see. But we're coming down here in GameStop, and maybe that'll be a catalyst for tomorrow. In AMC and BB, they continue to be on watch, but I suspect as these continue to come back in, what you're going to see is volume as well continue to kind of taper off, and slowly but surely these stocks are going to kind of, you know, become not so much the story anymore. The volume's going to keep going lower and lower on them kind of every day. That is, unless something changes, and maybe, you know, I could be totally wrong. Maybe we have another, you know, move to $100 on AMC. Totally possible. But as it looks right now, it looks like kind of volume is tapering off. You can see that on the daily chart here. And yeah, so that's that. All right, guys, so that is the recap today. I went over all the trades. I'm up 459. I had that amazing kind of recovery trade in the afternoon. And so, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I will be in the Discord tomorrow morning. Like this video, please. I'm begging you. No, I'm just kidding. If you thought it was helpful, you know, leave a like on it, and subscribe. I do these recaps every single day, no matter what the day brings. If I'm red, if I'm green, just whatever it is, I'm here. And I show you my results, and I try to incorporate some helpful lessons in there as well. So yeah, that's it, guys. All right, I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.